Hey, everybody. Hello. We got a whole conversation going on over here already before we're even live. Awesome stuff. Excuse me. Drink of water. All right, so let's give a quick hello now that we're live. Oh my gosh, look at all the people jumping on already. It is so nice to see you guys here. Let's say hello to the whole gang is all here. We have got Lauren, we have got Kali, we've got Sherry and Jen and Sharon. Karen, how you doing? Good to see you. Who else have I got? Cheryl. All right, so far so good. That's what we have so far. So lots of fun stuff to go over tonight. I don't know why I say fun, except that I do like to keep it interesting and light and have us all engaged. So it's and I just love having these meetings every Monday. I look forward to my Monday so much. Okay, so welcome to SoulPet. For anybody who does happen to be catching this for the very first time, welcome to SoulPet. This is the channel that is dedicated to helping people, first of all, recognizing that we grieve from our pets who have crossed to the other side, helping us achieve a level of healing and honoring the animal companions who spent their lives with us, who gave us the most beautiful gift of unconditional love. And a lot of it is about healing. Tonight's specifically going to be about healing. Because I have been looking into different techniques to help facilitate healing, not to eliminate grief and memory, to facilitate us being able to find the joy in life again and really live the way our animal companions would want us to live. My name is Elaine. I'm an animal Reiki master. I'm an animal chaplain and a medium, and I have devoted I'm a corporate dropout. And now I devote my life to animals, and animals on the other side of life have been reaching out, and I just feel so honored to be able to connect with so many of your animal companions on the other side. Let me take a look. The comments are scrolling by fast. So if you're watching me for the very first time, we normally take the first 5 minutes or so just to kind of catch up, let everybody jump on and join in. Feel free to comment. I try to catch as many comments as I can without being distracting. Sometimes we get sidetracked. But we have a wonderful community here, a community of people who are supportive of each other. So don't hesitate to comment. You can include your animal companion's name in the comments. You can let us know if they've crossed to the other side. You will find a very, very supportive community here. And then if you're not interested in the get to know yous and saying hello to everybody, just scroll forward about 5 minutes and we'll jump into the content then. I want to talk about Kim. How you doing? Good to see you. Luke's mommy, looking for some guidance tonight. Okay, understand the broken heart, and I have an interesting technique that I want to share with everybody tonight that you can actually use it for anything, not just for, we're going to use it specifically for a method of helping us ease and find relief from the grief. But if you want to, Luke's mom, if you want to share your name too, I'd be happy to say hello to you. Caroline, good to see you. Hello. Pat, nice to see you as well. Thank you, Pat. You guys rock. That's all I can tell you is that you guys rock. I remember when I first started this channel and I had a big goose egg. In fact, I had to go onto a friend's computer and pretend that I was somebody else so I would get at least one viewer. I started out with no viewers, and we now, just as of this morning, hit 3,000. So you guys, you rock. And I am so grateful that you share these messages with people and that we are getting this message out there, because that's what this channel is all about, creating a community of support for those who have animal companions that have crossed to the other side. And in the US, this is just one of those weird little statistics stored in the back of my brain. It's like 76% of all households in the United States have an animal companion. And as we know, those animal companions rarely live as long as we do. And they cross to the other side, leaving a hole in our life, leaving a hole in our heart, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. So I'm so happy and thrilled that we are being able to get this message out there. So thanks, Pat. I appreciate that. Oh gosh, amino acid trip. I always forget your name. Oh, Terry. Okay, Terry. I got to write that down. Hang on. I have my notebook here. So we are writing with my list of fun handles. I write the names down. So amino acid trip is Terry. Okay. I'll try not to forget that in the future. Um, um, I don't know who I am without her. Oh, Karen. Karen, let's talk. Because we are going to help you. She would not want you to be lost in despair. One of the things that I'm going to talk about, because it's a question that came up after last week, when we were talking about reincarnation and our animal companions coming back to us, one of the questions that came up was, what's the difference between grief and suffering? And grief being something that we can manage and heal from, suffering being something that really takes us into the depths of despair. And I have a few more thoughts on those, as well as as a suggestion each week going forward for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to offer a new process or something new that you can try that will help you to manage some of that grief. But Karen, we are here for you. All of us are here for you. And feel free to reach out, Karen. Feel free to reach out after this is all over, because I'd be happy to chat with you. Okay. Hi, Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer. Luke's mommy is Jennifer. So thanks for joining us. It's good to see you here. And Sharon, I'm going to read this out loud for anybody who's not following the comments. People just get tired of hearing how unhappy we are. And I don't care what they say. They just don't understand. We are absolutely, that is one of the things that we talk about here. And it's one of the reasons that we have this community, because we do all understand each other. For those of you who are new, this is going to be a repeat. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I'm a corporate dropout, and I was an HR executive. And when I started out, I mean, I ended as an HR executive, but I started out at the very bottom ladder. So I was an HR coordinator, and I made my way up the corporate ladder like we are taught to do. God, we are so crazy with the things that we hold ourselves to. Anywho, and I was an uncompassionate HR person. In terms of I was not uncompassionate, but when it came to people saying to me that they were still grieving over the loss of a pet, I did not have a compassionate space in my heart for that. I was very corporate, and I apologize to anyone and everyone to whom I may have ever shared those thoughts with, because now I'm completely different. And it's as if somebody, I don't know, like a different version of me has stepped in here to express this compassion on behalf of our animal companions. I'm certain it's the animals who had this shift in my heart. And now I want to shout from the rooftops. I want to be the person who goes to all of these corporate offices and says, you need to change your policies. You need to change your employee handbooks, because we need to include bereavement for animal companions, because they are family members. Family bereavement should be for any family member, regardless of species. We need to have bereavement. So this group will support you. We will offer you all the support you need. You do not ever need, nobody ever needs to worry about being judged. You don't need to worry about how you feel. You don't need to worry about if you're having a bad day or a good day, because you are welcome here in this community, where we will be honored to support you. We will be honored to share and understand and show compassion to you, as we do for ourselves. So, and thank you, everybody. Donna, good to see you. Thank you for all the support that you guys are offering. And Ocean Lee, I know your name too, hun. And I can't place it. I'm just saying, I'm just scrolling through the comments though. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started now that I actually, that was an important message for those of you who may be watching for the very first time, because there is more than, there are so many podcasts out there that are meant for like personal development. There's a lot of them that are just for entertainment. There are others that are on spirituality, and we do get a little woo woo here. We go down the spiritual rabbit hole every once in a while. I try to keep it kind of reined in this group, but there are some groups where we go way down the rabbit hole. But we are here to support each other. Okay, so let's get started. Hello, Jody. Good to see you. I got none. Had to take vacation time. Yeah, Karen. I mean, I still occasionally get embarrassed, personally embarrassed that I was one of those people who would say, well, you've got some PTO time, so maybe you might want to take some PTO time. No, we need bereavement. We need family bereavement. And I think little by little, it's possible that we'll get there. I don't care if I do it one company at a time, but that may be a little mission that I have to be on, so that employers, nobody needs to be, you can't focus, right? You can't go to work. You can't get it out of your mind. You cannot focus. And how are you supposed to be productive? And why do employers not understand this? But okay, we'll get off that topic for now. Let's talk about a couple things. First of all, I wanted to, who was the person? I think it was Laura, right? It comes in waves. We're going to talk about the waves of grief tonight also, and how to kind of manage that a little bit. And I didn't realize how much my little lion buddy here was in the screen tonight, but that's okay. He's my friend. He's actually, this lion here it's a beautiful piece of art that was gifted to me by my veterinarian. So he knows how much that I want to have animals of all kinds. Like I've got horses, wolves, pictures, like paintings, that kind of stuff. But he's pretty cool. So he's welcome to be in our videos. As I started to say before I digressed, I think that it was Laura, right? I'd have to scroll back up in the comments. Who got the tattoo? Someone got a tattoo. Episode 14, Tesla, thanks for putting that in there as I scroll back through the comments. Someone got a tattoo with their animal companion's remains. And I've heard about this before. A tattoo where they make a special ink that includes the remains of your animal companion, and then you have the tattoo somewhere, so that their remains become part of you. And I mentioned before that in the Polynesian tradition, the Polynesian tradition believes that all living things, not just animals, it's people as well, leave a piece of their soul with their physical remains. So the majority of their soul ascends, but a little bit of their spirit and their energy remains with their physical remains. So to have that as part of you. So when I worked at the pet funeral home, we had all kinds of things from crystals that you could have, acrylic. It was like an acrylic thing, and you could have their remains woven through it in this beautiful design. I've seen glass done the same way. That are in addition to all the traditional ways that we honor our animal companions. So let me scroll down to see who's pointing. Yes, Ocean Lee, I do. Ocean Lee had 2 horses and a dog in 2 months. I completely understand it. It's interesting about the horses because one of the sanctuaries where I practice, where I hold classes for animal Reiki, just recently lost a beautiful horse, Nala. And Jen, you're familiar with Nala. And there is something, and I don't mean to, I mean, every single animal, beautiful animal life, but there's something about a horse for me. There's just something about the majesty of a horse, and being able to look into their eyes and see soul. That's the only way I can explain it. But we are here to support you. We are absolutely here to support you. Okay, so who's the one who got the tattoo? Okay, there you go. All right, so it's and then there was me. Is Kali, right? Kali. So I think that's so cool. And I'm getting a tattoo from someone who's occasionally on. Her name is Shirley. She goes by on Instagram. I think her handle is Tattoo Girl. Can't remember. Stardust Reiki, maybe. But anyway, so I'm getting a tattoo done on Friday. She's the one who did Lucy, who did the wolf picture of Lucy. So if anybody is interested in a good tattoo artist, I'd be happy to point you her way also. Okay, so let's see. Very good friend in Colorado Springs, glass blower. Oh, thank you, Jody. Thank you for letting us know that. Yeah, there are some very creative ways that we can memorialize our animal companions. So what do I want to talk about tonight? I do want to talk about, let's see, there was one other question that came up before we get into the grief and the suffering and the thing that I want to teach you. And then we're going to do a reading tonight with cards, because for Layla, all Layla's mommy wanted is a message. That's it. No questions to be answered. No requests seeking forgiveness, that kind of thing. Just a message of any kind. So I thought that would be a great opportunity again to review why I like to use angel cards specifically to receive messages from our animal companions on the other side. One of the other questions that came up besides the grief and suffering question was, does what we had talked about last week in terms of reincarnation and being able to connect with our animal companions on the other side, does it also apply to people? So animal companions, when they cross to the other side, I've said 100 times, I've said it 1,000 times, animals are not capable of deceit. They would never lie to us, harm us. And I think it's one of the reasons that we trust messages from our animal companions on the other side, because they are so pure of heart and pure of spirit and willing to connect with us to share messages. And the question that came up, and it comes up frequently, not just from the person who asked the question, does the same thing apply to people? When people leave, when their soul leaves their body and they go to the other side, are they also willing to connect with us? And so there's two things I want to share about that. The first thing is, it's contradictory sometimes. It's often contradictory to what other mediums say about people who cross to the other side. And it's a lengthy conversation, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. When our souls, no matter what soul it is, and I believe that the earth has a soul, animals have a soul, people have a soul. I believe that soul is universal, and we are all small parts of the puzzle of one beautiful, amazing soul. And when people cross to the other side, they return to pure, positive love. They return to a space of pure, positive love. So it begs the question then, what about people who have done horrific things as in their physical body when they were either child abusers or serial killers or the Charles Mansons of the world? Hitler, those types of things, what happens to their soul? I believe, this is my personal belief, I believe that those who performed evil acts here on the planet among all of us, who for the most part, I believe that humanity is wonderful. I believe that when they cross to the other side, they go through a period of atonement. I do not believe, this is my personal belief, I do not believe that there is a never-ending pit of fire where they are meant to spend eternity in torment. I believe there's an atonement because I believe they choose to atone. I believe when a soul leaves the physical body and realizes the torment, realizes the pain that they caused here, that there is an atonement process. I don't know how long it is. I don't want to know how long it is. It doesn't matter to me. I just know that for those who have performed truly horrible things, I think that there is still hope for them, but that it's not a forever thing, because think about what eternity means. Think about what it really means, eternity. However, for the majority of us who have come to Earth to experience this Iron Man contest, this contest where we are really rocking it here on Earth, and it's not an easy journey, where we are really, really learning how to experience something so that the universe and God, Allah, Buddha, Spirit, whatever your higher power happens to be, can grow and learn, and it's an amazing experience. When those souls cross to the other side, they do return to pure, positive love. If anyone has ever listened to Abraham Hicks, channeled by Esther Hicks, I think expresses it very well, that it's all about love. It's pure, it's positive, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. So that when our human family, even if we didn't get along with them, even if we left things unresolved when they crossed to the other side, they still want to be a part of our lives. They still want to be in a relationship with us. There is also a school of thought that says we're all in a play. This is all a big simulation. It's all a game. It's all a show. We have stepped into a role, and this is the role we've taken. And then when we leave this physical body, we leave behind that role. And people still want to connect with us. So a family member that you may have had a disagreement with, a family member that you had a falling out with, a family member who did you wrong, someone who you didn't speak to because you always thought there would be time to speak to them again. It is possible to connect with them. It is the same for people as it is with animals. The only thing that stands in our way is that I think we more easily connect with our animals than we do with people because of all the overthinking that we do in our mind about our relationship with the person that we're trying to reach out to. I hope that answers that question. For those of you who had it, does it apply to people as well? Yes, it most certainly does. Okay, let me look and see if there's any questions right now. Google cremation ink. Okay, there you go. Thank you. All right, so everybody loves the topic of this tattoo thing. So I think it's kind of cool myself to be able to get a tattoo with our animal companions' ashes in it. Okay, so the other question that came up was about grief and suffering, and this is going to kind of segue directly into the what I'm going to call the gateway to healing. The first technique that I'm going to share with you, the gateway to healing. And as I mentioned, you can use it for anything. I'm going to use it in terms of helping us manage grief, but you can do it for anything. You can do it for anything that you are seeking guidance from your higher self with. And we'll get to that in just a second. So to return to that question, and I think, Sharon, that it might have been you last week who asked the question, what's the difference between grief and suffering? And grief is, I just made myself a few notes here, that grief, I think, is an emotional response to the loss of our animal companion. I mean, among other things. But grief, it's an absolute emotional response. That's natural. It's a natural part of the emotions that we were born with. We're born with this ability to feel. And it is a testament to our love and the depth of our love for our animal companions that causes us to grieve our loss. And the more that's kind of judgmental, not the more we grieve. The depth of our grief, perhaps, is representative of the depth of our love. But even that's not 100% true, because I love my animal companions to the moon and back. My animal companions who are with me now and the ones who have crossed to the other side. And my grief has definitely eased over time. So the depth of my grief, maybe in the beginning, it reflected the depth of my love. But now it is a way for me to remember them and to honor them, to as the little reminder that I just not only love them so much, I loved them so much. And there are things that I miss. There are things that I miss. And that grief is there to remind me of that. So it's an emotional response. It's sadness. It's loss. It's a natural part of the healing process. I think it naturally, once we feel grief, it kind of leads us in the direction of healing, if that makes sense, helping us to find peace is with grief. Now, suffering, on the other hand, and we started to talk about this last week, suffering is prolonged. Suffering is profound. Suffering is more than just sadness. It is, it's despair. It is enduring, like a pain that does not go away. It's an enduring pain, and it may need more effort than grief. With grief, we can do some things, but that enduring pain may take some more effort. So beyond being a part of this kind of community is definitely a help. Doing some of the exercises that I'm going to share with you is a help. Also, depending on your religious practices, you may choose to try to connect with them through a medium, or you may choose to connect through prayer. I love prayer. Prayer, even though I don't consider myself a particularly religious person, I've long since moved away from my Catholic upbringing. I now consider myself to be a beautiful spiritual extension of my higher power, who I call God because I don't have any other name, source, the divine, whatever you want to call it. But I enjoy praying. I enjoy praying, not begging, but I enjoy praying in collaboration, where I say, it was such a joy, and Lucy was such a wonderful part of my life, such an important, beautiful spiritual soul that helped me grow and now helps me from the other side. Please help me to understand how I can let go of the intensity of the pain so that I can enjoy life again, so that I can bring joy back into my life, because I know that she would want that. Those are the kinds of things that I might say in prayer. And then I would close the prayer in gratitude. When we can fill our heart with gratitude, it eases some of the grief. Gratitude is a wonderful way to help our heart actually do its thing, which is to heal. Our heart is meant to heal. And our heart actually puts out a vibration. And gratitude helps that vibration settle. So instead of being one of discord, a discordant sadness, gratitude kind of helps the heart to settle a little bit, and then your brain can kind of take that. That's the way, like the heart math thing we talked about. I think we talked about that last week. That coordination between head, heart, and core, it helps balance that. And with that balance comes healing. It's like your brain then sends out all the vibrations that say, okay, heart is beginning to heal, so let's surround us. Your brain will actually go out and do the work, finding things to help you feel more healed, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But that's kind of where this little next activity comes from. Looking at my notes here. I'm just going to read the comments real quick because I think each one tunes into different parts of us. Some of those parts hurt more when we notice the absence, especially when there are multiple deep threads in the connections. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Yes to all of those things, and I think that if we can find a place for our love to go, find a place for love to return to us, and I'm not sure what each one tunes into different parts of us. I'm a little confused by that, but when there are multiple deep threads in the connections, the depth of grief and how we feel different for each soul. Okay, yeah, okay, I got it. And when you've got multiple connections like that, I understand now where we're going with that. Kim says she's gone back to church and found that with my current life path, when I went back, I started to see flashes. I saw intuitive while in Colorado. I confirmed seeing angels. For all of us, it's going to be a little bit different. We're all going to experience something different because we're all at a different place in our own spiritual growth, in our own awakening, and part of, for those of you who are watching the very first time, part of what we talk about is that sometimes our animal companions, when they cross, do so to help us rediscover something within ourselves. Angels, you guys know my angel cards. I'm all about the angels now. I believe all of our animal companions not only are angels, but have angels. When they cross to the other side, they've got angels, and we can ask them for help. We can ask them to help us heal, both the angels and our animal companions. So grief is okay. I still feel occasional sadness about all of my animal companions, going way back to my very first childhood pet named Peanuts. I feel a level of sadness for all of them because there are some things that I would like to go back and do differently. Now that I have a better understanding of how to be a really partner to my animal companions, not just their human, but their companion too. I'm their companion, they are mine, and together we share this life, and I will go back and do things different for every single one of my animal companions. So grief never fully disappears. It never fully goes away, but we can learn to cope, we can learn to manage, and we can learn to heal. And why am I so fixated on helping everybody heal? Because we are meant to live. We are here. We chose to be here on planet Earth in this life right now for a reason. And our animal companions would not want us not to live life to its fullest, to find joy, to really experience what life is meant to be. And it's not meant to be, look, I have a family member who always says life sucks and then you die. Oh my gosh. Our animal companions are trying to tell us, no, absolutely not. That is not true. It is not true. Life is meant to be lived. We are meant to find joy, and our animal companions can help us find the way. We honor them by continuing to live. We honor their memories. We honor their relationship with us. We honor their partnership, their companionship by living our life to its absolute fullest. Okay. I'm going backwards in my notes. So what is this thing that I want to show you? I'm calling it the gateway technique. I'm going to check out comments real quick. Mew Mew is one of the best names. Okay. And then there was me. Amen. Thank you. I have to go back and find that comment. I'll go back and I check all the comments again after anyway, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Sometimes they scroll by so fast that I get lost because I'm not following them. But you guys feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Thank you, Judy. Thank you very much. It was never I didn't set out that I was consciously aware of to do this. It had to be my total subconscious connection with all the animals that I've worked with, and being an animal Reiki master, somehow my practice, which is it's just Reiki is about stress reduction, helping animals recover from illness and injury by working with their energy body. So I work in collaboration with veterinary care. They receive medical care for their physical conditions, and then Reiki helps them to ease confusion, ease stress, and when they're feeling balanced, then they heal quicker. And then suddenly that turned into, this part was unexpected. It turned into working with animals at end of life. And when my animal clients would cross to the other side, I realized that I still felt a connection. And then when Lucy crossed, that's why I got her tattooed on my arm. When Lucy crossed, there was no mistaking that we were still connected. And with that connection, I understood. I asked, it's kind of cool to be able to talk to animals on the other side, to be able to connect with them, to be able to get messages from them, to be able to share things to their humans. But what was the purpose? The purpose, I was told, was to help heal. Healing is the purpose. And that's why, and then I ended up doing this it's like I'm the puppet for the animals. And that's the only, or their voice is maybe a better way to look at it. So the gateway process is what I want to talk about. The gateway process is there's going to be 2 steps that we're going to take, and I'm going to guide you through this, and then we'll talk about the cards and how to use cards to receive a message of your own from your animal companion. This is a 2-part process, and if anybody is from Caroline, you're from Ireland though. I'm trying to see if there's anybody on here from England. There's this thing with the underground subways in England that you mind the gap. It's called Mind the Gap. And what we do with this gateway thing is to mind the gap. We are going to look for a gap in our thinking. So the first thing, I'm going to explain it to you first. And then if you're in a place where you can do the activity with me, then we're going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're only going to do it for a minute or 2, but I recommend trying it for like 10 minutes. To see how you do, like 10 minutes every day for 2 weeks to see how it goes. And we can even catch up with this next week when we do that. It's called the gateway to healing. And the first thing is to create a gap. When we get caught in a gap of grief, when we get caught in a loop of grief, thoughts beget more thoughts, and our mind it works wonderfully. Whatever you focus on is what your brain will continue to bring you. So when we realize that we are sad and grieving, and it makes us sadder. And then think about all the times, like, did you ever have a breakup? This is a great example. Did you ever have a breakup with somebody and then all you wanted to do was listen to breakup songs? You just wanted to listen to songs that made you cry, cry, cry. And then the radio just seemed to play one breakup song after another, or it would play all the love songs that you shared with the person that you broke up with. And it just made you feel even worse. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. That's like the little example. Our brain has a habit of focusing on the thing that has got our attention. And it will bring us more of the same. We'll just keep drawing it into us. So finding a gap is a way to kind of break the cycle before it has a chance to really kick in. So you ask yourself, I have 2 examples of things that you could ask yourself that create a gap, because we're going to use that gap for something else. The questions would be, so where do thoughts come from? Like think about that. It can send your mind in a little spiral. Where do thoughts come from? Is there a part of the brain that's like that says, okay, these are where all your thoughts are. You've got so many thoughts for all of your life, and they'll pop out whenever you ask for a thought. What? No, we have no idea where thoughts come from. There was once and you'll have to look this up because I don't remember who did it, but they were allowed to perform an examination of Einstein's brain and an examination of a murderer's brain. And they examined just a physical examination of the 2 brains. They were identical. There was nothing to physically identify any difference between the two brains. Einstein didn't have a ginormous part in this brain, and the other part, the other guy didn't have a tiny little part of this brain. That the two brains were pretty much identical. So we don't really know where thoughts come from. That's not the whole point of this exercise. So the point is that it's a question that will cause a gap in your thinking. So if you are grieving and you find yourself caught in a loop of grief, the first thing to do is to recognize it. If you can recognize that you're feeling sad, don't judge it, just observe, just become aware. Okay, I'm feeling really, I'm in it today, man. I'm in the weeds and I'm not feeling good. When you can recognize that, then you ask yourself a question, like a mind-bending question, like, where do thoughts come from? Or the other one that I loved, I heard this one and I absolutely loved it. How many hairs are on a cat? That will really cause your brain to instantly, like, whoosh, it stops thinking about how many hairs are on a cat. How might you go about actually counting the hairs on a cat? Would you like take a little square of the cat and figure out how many hairs are in the square, and then how many squares are on the cat, and how big is the cat? And is the cat long-haired or short-haired? Does the cat have a tail? Does the cat have hair on its tail? Does the cat have hair in its ears? Do whiskers count as hair? Your mind will immediately, it creates a gap where you were once feeling grief. Your mind has you're giving your mind a different job to do. So you are creating a gap that will help you manage the cycle of grief. So that's step one, is to create the gap. And then we're going to do this. And if you guys want to comment on here, I'm just going to look at what Luke's mommy, I think I wrote your name down, Jennifer. I don't know why feeling sad and crying makes me feel like I'm honoring him. On the days I haven't cried makes me feel bad. Because we're taught that, by the way. We're taught that that we should feel sad, that when somebody passes, we should cry. We're meant to cry. We are meant to feel bad. And then we feel guilty if we have a day where we feel good. I would love to be able to put that guilt to rest for you by saying that your animal companion does not want you to feel guilty. Your animal companion is not worried about you honoring and memorializing him or her. They're right. They have never, there's no break, there's no separation. They have not left your side. They are right with you, and they don't, their feelings aren't going to get hurt because you didn't cry one day. But that's my thoughts on that. And that maybe is another topic for another day, because I want to get to the gateway. The gateway of healing. Step number one, create a gap. Create a gap in your thinking that kind of snaps you out of the cycle of sadness, even if it's just for a few moments. And then we're going to fill that gap with something different. Words of healing. Think about words of healing. And if anybody wants to suggest words of healing, go ahead and pop them in the comments. For example, a word of healing might be heal. It could be the word heal. It could be the word love. It could be the word peace, ease. I wrote a couple of these down. Peace, ease, compassion, calm, relief, normalcy. There are any words that you can think of that would be, hang on a second here. I got to stretch I sprained my knee here. It's driving me crazy. Any word that would remind you of healing. That's the opposite of grieving and sadness. So heal, peace, ease, compassion, calm, relief. I might go with relief. Relief might be the word that we use in this example. And then that's what you fill the gap with. You're going to repeat it in your mind again and again and again, that word, relief, 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 relief. You're going to do it for about 10 minutes. And what's going to happen is, as you're saying the word relief, the next thing you know, your mind is going to be thinking about something else, or sad thoughts are going to come back. But you're going to be able to catch them. You're going to be able to, all of a sudden, you're going to become aware. Oh gosh, for the past 2 minutes, I stopped saying the word relief, and I started thinking about the day that my animal companion crossed. Okay, well, we're going to go back to that gap again. How many hairs are on a cat? And go back to relief, 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 relief. And you keep repeating that, and you do it for 10 minutes. If you have to set a little timer on your phone, and it doesn't matter how many times that your mind gets distracted or where your mind goes, no judgment. You just observe it and you become aware. And it may be a couple of minutes before you realized that your mind has gone off the track. You reel it back in and you begin saying your word again. And then you do this for about 5-10 minutes at a time. If you, sometimes it's nice to do this before you go to sleep, and then you fall asleep with that word in your mind. So a couple minutes before you fall asleep, you tell yourself, you ask yourself that question, how many hairs on a cat? You pick your word that you want to fill in the gap with. Peace, 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 peace. I forgot to answer that email at work. Darn, I forgot that email at work. Shoot, Karen is really going to be upset with me tomorrow that I didn't. Oh, wait a minute. My mind has gone down the wrong track. Peace, peace, peace. And that's how it works. It's that simple. And then you don't even need to set a timer. You're going to fall asleep thinking about, instead of grief, and you're going to be thinking about peace. So if you guys want to do that with me right now, I'm going to pick the word relief. Anybody who's in a place where you can, if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, or some otherwise cannot close your eyes, please come back to this at a future time. Isn't that funny that we have to say that? There was, I think I've talked about this before, the commercial on TV that had a small child driving a car as a joke, and they had to pull the commercial because people are letting their children drive cars. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to, even if you just want to pretend with me, we're just going to do this for a minute or two. How many hairs are on a cat? Seriously, how many hairs are on a cat? No idea. Our mind has no clue. Our mind will go crazy trying to figure out how would you even go about counting the hairs on a cat? Even if the cat was deceased and what you had was the body of a cat, how would you count the hair? Do you have to shave all the hairs off and then put them in a pile and count each one at a time? And what if they blow away? Your mind has now created a gap. And in the gap, I want you to place the word relief, relief, relief. And we're just going to say it. I'm going to be quiet as you say in your mind the word relief. And I'm going to be right with you. Relief. And at some point, your mind is just like mine just did. The air conditioner just kicked on. Instantly, my mind goes, I wonder if everybody can hear that the air conditioner just kicked on. And I'm aware that those thoughts came into my mind. I'm going to pull myself back in. No judgment. I'm just observing that my mind is doing its job. Your mind is meant to think. Telling your mind not to think is like telling your heart not to beat. But you can redirect those thoughts. Coming back to the word relief. Relief, relief. And that's all there is to it. That is the gateway to healing. I'm suggesting this as one of the first steps we can take when we find ourselves caught in a loop that's hard for us to break. So let's just say that you do have to go to work one morning and you can't get out of your own heart that it's a bad day. It's a bad day. What do you do when you've got obligations and you've got to go about your business? This is a great way to start. I'm going to have other things going forward, but this is a great place to start. So you're going to give your mind something else that's going to snap you out of that loop of grieving thoughts, and it's going to give you a space where you can reprogram. So that's essentially what you're doing. You're reprogramming your thinking to go and to move on to something else. And comments again real quick here, what I've been missing. I sometimes feel, Jess. Hello, Jess. I didn't see you jump in. I sometimes feel guilty about grieving my most recent loss more than past losses. Totally normal. I wish that we could just get rid of guilt. This guilt thing is learned. We started talking about this. We talk about this all the time. This guilt thing is definitely learned. I was raised Catholic, and I've said this so many times. It just amazes me, though, that as a small child in the first grade, I was taught to kneel on a bench in the church and go, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Who the actual teaches children that? It just irritates me. No, you are worthy. You are deserving. You did nothing wrong. When it comes to your animal companions and guilt, you do the best you did and do and will always do the best that you possibly can for them at that moment in time. And they would never ask anything more of you than that. And no animals on the other side go, wait just a minute. I can't believe you're feeling sadder for Jack than you were for Lucy. That because they're all together in this beautiful place. Was it last week, or it might have been in a different class, where I mentioned the dimensions, and that there's actually that maybe perhaps the Rainbow Bridge is a real place. I think it was last week, and that all of the animal souls gather there, and they're angelic, and there is not a hint of judgment. And that guilt is us judging ourselves, and we can ho'oponopono ourselves. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Say that to yourself in the mirror. That's another way of getting past some of the grief also. But okay, going to keep checking comments or breathe. Tell my other fur balls I love them too. I tell them all the time. And sometimes like it's just Jack who happens to be on my mind. I know that Lucy knows that I don't ever love her any differently. That I love that all my animal companions who have crossed to the other side, I loved them each in their own way for a different reason. And I honor the fact that they came into my life for their own reasons and their own journey. And like Winston, I know that Winston now, even though I know I felt more deeply connected to Winston in 2 years than so many of my other animal companions. And when I meditate with Winston, I get a sense that he is with a little girl. And I think that this is just the vision I get of this. And it's another way to help us heal is to understand what our animal's journey is, that they also had their own journey. I believe that Winston's family, before he came to me, the one that he didn't want to share with me, the memory that he didn't want to share with me, I believe that that family had a little girl, and that the little girl did not want Winston to leave, and that it was someone else in the family that let Winston into the woods. That's the only explanation that we can logically think of, and that he went back to that little girl to comfort her. That is what I sense. So our animals are on, and I don't feel any less soul connected to Winston, knowing it actually does my soul good to feel that Winston has returned to a little girl who herself was suffering from an intense guilt over the way that Winston left their family. So all of our animal companions are on a journey of their own. They are on a beautiful, loving, amazing journey. I know that Jack was here for my husband. I know that Lucy came into our life through my daughter, but ended up not until she crossed did we become so deeply connected that I felt the need to tattoo her picture on my arm. Every single animal has a different relationship with us, has a different relationship with each other, is on their own journey. And that in itself, understanding that in itself can help alleviate a lot of that guilt that we feel. Took me a while before I could speak their names without becoming a waterfall. I still to this day tell stories of Jack Lucin. That's Winston and Lucy combined. They're all one beautiful animal soul right now. I still cry when I tell their stories. I still cry. Okay, let's talk about oracle cards and how you can get a message from your animal companion. I'm going to set my notes aside here for a second. Now there's a question that's come up before about tarot cards, oracle cards. What kind of messages are we getting? Are we like connecting with some energy that we're not supposed to be connecting with? And the answer to that is all no, because we are operating solely from a place of love. Love is the secret fabric to the entire universe, and nothing trumps love. Love trumps everything. Love is the thing. And when you are operating, when you are vibrating, when your frequency, and we can talk more about frequency and vibration, that starts to go a little bit down the rabbit hole. Everything is energy, and everything vibrates at a certain frequency. And you and your animal companion had a frequency that matched. And when they crossed to the other side, they went to a higher frequency. And we kind of, sometimes we stay here, but like Lucy, man, she pulled me right up. She pulled me to such a place of intense love that well, you guys know, I no longer fear the other side. I no longer fear death, none of it. So I love angel cards because angels are beautiful souls, just like our animal companions, pure, positive love. That's Oracle cards are not, they're not connecting with some other energy. I'm not doing anything outside of myself. I'm actually asking my higher self, my soul, my higher being to connect with the higher being of my animal companion, with the soul of my animal companion, and to deliver a beautiful message. I can simply now, after all these years in practice, I can ask that question out loud and not use an oracle card and just begin to write the thoughts that come into my mind. And I trust them, and they're always messages of love and hope and healing. But this is a great way not only just to begin. So if you're beginning to understand that you want to get a message on your own, you do not need an intermediary. Nobody does. But those of us who have stepped into this, who there's more than just me who are animal mediums or animal psychics or pet psychics. There's so much baggage connected to those words. I am a soul who loves to connect with the souls of animals that have crossed to the other side, and they send beautiful healing messages. And I love to use these cards in particular. Kyle Gray. I am going to reach out to Kyle Gray and say, dude, everybody I know has purchased your cards because I talk about them all the time. The Angels and Ancestors Oracle Cards Guidebook. And these are beautiful messages. They're guiding messages. These are messages that are meant for us to even awaken within ourselves. And it never fails that they are spot on every time, because all that's happening is our higher self is getting through to our brain in a way that we can interpret and allowing us to receive a message by reading a beautiful card. And it does not have to be I love these cards. I have a couple other decks behind me. Whatever. If anybody ever wants some advice on how to pick a card deck, but really it's just about the ones that speak to you. And I choose Angels and Ancestors. And there's a lot about animals in here too. I have a Sacred Power deck that's all animals. The whole thing is animals. And you can, those are the kinds of cards that you want to go for. There are some darker cards. Like I bought a deck of cards that I thought I would like, and they don't speak to me at all. And so I don't use them. You find an oracle card deck that is meaningful to you, that you can look at usually online, they'll give you samples of the cards, or you can look on the back of the box. It'll have different samples of the cards and it'll explain some of them. If you go to any metaphysical bookstore that sells like spirituality books and those kinds of things will also have oracle cards, and they're more than happy to help. They're so helpful, people, because they want everybody to experience these messages and the healing messages of hope and healing, and more than that, they're like guidance. It's serious guidance. And our animal companions on the other side want us to be able to live our best possible lives, and this is one of the ways that we can get guidance. I am teaching a course, as you guys know, some of you are already signed up for it. I'm teaching a course in psychic abilities with animals as guides. That's going to start September 4th. And it's going to include things like, how can we use oracle cards to get messages from our animal companions? How can we use something like here? This is like one of my favorite things. This is called a little chakra wand, and it's the energy centers of the body. It goes like this. Each little crystal represents an energy center of the body, because when we're balanced, when we are balanced, our energy centers are balanced, it's easier to connect with our animal companions. But we're going to talk about crystals, and we're going to talk about, the reason that I mentioned that is because in that course, I'm going to do an in-depth tutorial on how to use oracle cards. But you cannot get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. You're not going to pick the wrong card. You're not going to get the wrong message. You're not going to make a mistake. And it just can't be done, because your higher self is guiding you, as is your animal companion guiding you. So these are what oracle cards are, and they're cool. Like they're beautiful pictures. They're just beautiful pictures, beautiful messages. Things like animal guardian, earth guardian, the druid who holds space. Let's see. Oh, the seer who sees beyond current situations. the Earth Mother who feels loved and comforted. They're beautiful cards of guidance. So what I did was this is for Layla now. So for Layla, I like to go into a quiet space of meditation, and I like to connect, and I just ask, just guide me to the message that you want us to receive. And I was guided to pull 3 cards. So I pulled 3 cards. And actually, sometimes I don't pull them. So by pulling a card, what I mean is where I hold the deck out like this, and I ask to receive the insight for what card I should draw that my higher self wants me to know. And I would draw the card. So I did this for Layla because I was connecting with her earlier. Okay, the Hunter. So that's the card that came out. I would never hunt, by the way. But the Hunter is to track down your fears and understand your desires. So that's what I've never pulled the Hunter card before. But that's kind of a cool looking card. So I will share with you, and then you can do these as when I do the tutorial. You can do them in any number of ways. If you're just looking for, you're in the morning, it's the morning, and you're looking for some inspiration, for some guidance for the day. How are you going to get through the day? You can just ask your higher self or your animal companion for a card that's going to be guidance, and the Sun, and joy, success, and happiness. And then each of these decks comes with a little guidebook. I pretty much don't need the guidebook for this anymore. I'm getting very, very familiar with these cards, but that Sun, beautiful. I love the Sun. Success, happiness, sunshine. It's a beautiful message. But the message that Layla's, it was very interesting because the 3 cards that I pulled for Layla, I'm going to show you the book as well, are not cards that I would have expected, and somehow they're all related. They're somehow all related. So the first card that I pulled was this card, the Knight. Be brave and honest. So this is a message for Layla's, not just Layla's human. I get the sense that these are messages for Layla's human companion as well as for all of us. There is somebody here who needs to hear part or all of these 3 cards. So the Knight is the protector. The Knight is the protector. And in this case, I get the sense that Layla is saying that this is mutual protection, that Layla is there to protect you, and that you are there to protect other animals. So there is another animal in your life that you are serving as a protector. And even if you don't share the same relationship that you had with Layla, Layla is saying that you are being asked to protect. You're being asked to be the protector. This card, the Knight card, be brave and honest, brings out warrior energy within you. If you'll notice this card, I'll show this to you again. It's very hard to see on my camera. Someday I'll get I'll have one of those fancy setups, but I don't for right now. There's a tear running down his face. The tear running down his face is your willingness to be vulnerable. It is okay to show emotion. It is okay to love everything that you are called on to protect. And that is the tear. It also represents an energy of respect. Stand up for you are to demand. That's exactly what's coming through about this. You are to demand respect for the things that are important to you. And if there is somebody right now who is disrespecting you, to stand up for yourself. That is the message that comes through with that, with the Knight card. I'm going to set that one aside. Then the next card I pulled, this was a really interesting one too. Another one that I'm not as familiar with. This is the Water Guardian. Connect with your emotions. So the Water Guardian is, this is really tied very closely to what we talked about tonight. Your sensitivity and your emotions are not a curse, they are a gift. Your tears are angels of water. Old emotions that you have locked up deep inside are ready to be freed. The angels of water help you to hear messages that you have to unlock your intuitive powers. That doesn't make sense to me. Let me go back to that. The angels of water are here to help you receive messages that will unlock your intuitive powers. And the energies of abundance. This is very specifically for Layla's human. There's been something that you've been holding yourself back on in terms of receiving abundance. And as your tears flow, allow them to be transformed into a beautiful abundance, even if that's an abundance of love. to allow those to be transformed, and that there are intuitive psychic messages arising. As you cry, you're receiving intuitive messages. Let those messages flow. Let them come through to you. That's the water guardian. And then I'll go back and read some of these comments in a second, because this is the last card that I want to do. This card is interesting one. The broken arrow. Embrace the energy of peace. And what stood out? What? I lost my broken arrow. Broken arrow. I had him in a page, and then I started following comments. I lost it. There we go. Broken arrow. Embracing the energy of peace. You no longer need to fight because peace has arrived. The energies of light are entering to wash away all the darkness. Angelic guides and ancestors are standing around you, protecting you and taking you lovingly forward. This card represents protection. In Native American traditions, a broken arrow would mean that the tribes are no longer fighting with one another. It's time to make alliances. Okay, so whatever, somebody needs to hear that message about that it's time to heal wounds. It's time to heal and let differences go. Let differences go. Okay, so those are the messages from Layla this evening. I'm going to dive into our comments real quick. Charm casting to get messages. Yeah, so Ruby Dawn, that's one of the reasons why I'm teaching the psychic class. And each week we're going to do 6 weeks, and each week we're going to do something different, because we're all different. Like, cards sing to me, but so do flames. I can light a candle and look into a flame. So we're going to talk a little bit about candle magic as part of that. Crystals are the same way. I don't know if that's what you mean by charm casting, but there is there's a name for this, where you take crystals. There are certain crystals. You can even use like the crystals that represent the chakras, and you drop them onto a plate, and how they fall is how you might receive your message. And intuitive messages are just that. They are messages we ask for. We've got guidance. We've all got a team. We've got a team of angels, ancestors, animals, ancient ones. We've got a team of souls on the other side of life who want to help us. They're like our coaches and our mentors, and we can access that guidance. We can access that help, and it helps us to live a fuller life, and to live better is such a judgment word, to help us live a fuller, more robust, to live the life that we came here to live the life that's our right to live, to the destiny of that we signed up for, that we're not meant to be held in all these. I can't think of all the words that I'm trying to think of. We're not meant to think that life sucks and then you die. We are meant to know that life is beautiful and wonderful, and there's an experience, and we have a team of people behind us, a team of souls behind us that can help us live that life. Okay. That was my little rant about that. How much importance do you put on the jumper cards? Okay. You guys are all talking about the charm thing, so that's okay. So many modalities, yes, and there are so many spiritual modalities that are designed to help us tap into the knowledge that we know deep inside that our conscious mind keeps at bay. We can tap into our subconscious, higher conscious mind, and there are many, many, many tools to do that with. So those are the kinds of things that we talk about when we go down the spiritual rabbit hole. Okay. Also pendulum. Yep. Okay. We can do pendulum, muscle testing. There's all kinds of things, but that's a topic for another day. Okay, my friends, it was great to spend this evening with you. Thank you guys for your mutual support. Thank you for supporting this channel and the work that we're doing here. Thank you for the community and the condolences and the open, unconditional love that you share for each other. And maybe one of these days, who knows? Maybe someday I'll figure out a way for us to have like an in-person event. Wouldn't that be fun? But in the meantime, okay. Thank you guys. It was great to see you here. Irish Beater 1. You are welcome, whoever you are. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching along. And for all of you, until the next time that we meet, may animals light your way. Take care.